afternoon and welcome back to the touchline on Y25. We want to speak about the state of rugby in Kenya in the wake of, firing of Innocent Simiyu as the coach for Shujaa and bringing on board of the new coach, a 64-year-old Briton who will be taking over. And the squad has been unveiled this particular morning regarding, those players who will represent the country at the upcoming legs in London and Toulouse. And of course, joining us is not an unfamiliar face on this particular platform, Kamuya, our resident rugby sports panelist in general and matters consultants. Good to see you, man. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You attended the press at RFA.
I have to start by congratulating you for your position in the secretariat, right?
Yeah,
the caretaker
Thank you,
committee.
bro.
So I hope all these conversations we have here are not going to fall on deaf ears. You've now been given the chance.
For sure. The kind of information we share on this platform will now properly utilized.
Exactly, they have to be properly utilized.
And we do our best to ensure that we can change something, make Kenyan sports better, bring reforms in Kenyan football, because it's not that we the most suitable for this opportunity. Others deserve it better than us, but we have to use it properly to make and bring much needed changes.
And you put your hand up, then by all means you are chosen.
Yes.
Like you're saying, there might be some people who are more competent, but the truth is they haven't put up their hand.
Yes.
So you put your hand up, and we're talking off air, we're saying that perhaps it's our generation to change things, because access to information, exposure, we know how some of these things work. But at the same time, I must warn you, because I've seen it big time in rugby. There are people who thrive in the chaos that's the sporting industry today in Kenya. And they're the people who are always going to be putting stumbling blocks for you. But as long as your conscience is clear and your motives and intentions are for the better placing of the sport, it's going to succeed. They can only put roadblocks for so long.
Yes.
They can only put roadblocks for so long.
Sure, we are up to the task and we will do our best and hope that we deliver in our assignments ahead. Let's get into what we supposed to discuss. The new coach at the helm, Innocent Simiyu.
Yes. Innocent
relieved of his duties.
Relieved of his duties, and they've hired Damien McGrath. This second stint of Innocent Simiyu, first, I always get the feeling that, and I'm not saying categorically, I'm just saying my opinion.
Yes.
I always got the feeling that Innocent Simiyu was a compromise candidate. The union didn't have money. They needed a coach. Paul Murunga had butchered seriously, so they got Innocent Simiyu because of his stint. His first stint, you remember how it was pretty successful. Yes. But as Innocent Simiyu checked in, there's some blunders he made.
True.
Number one, for the 2 years he's been in charge, we never had an assistant coach for the Sevens team. He was running the show himself. I think the other big thing was that in his strength and conditioning, we have a very good resource in Kenya by the name of Kimani.
Yes.
And NAMCOS declined to engage Kimani services, going with Mike Shamia. If you look at Kenya's success in the last 10 years in the Sevens game, and I take nothing away from the coaches have been very good coaches. Some of them have been very good coaches, but the most integral component of those Sevens teams have always been the strength and conditioning coaches.
Yes.
Geoffrey Kimani with Benjamin Aimba
it worked well
in the late 2000s.
Yes.
Mike Friday came with Chris Brown, who was an excellent strength and conditioning coach. Paul Troy, I can't remember who was with him. And then Benjamin Aimba came back with Geoffrey Kimani. And I remember World Rugby did a video maybe 3-4 years ago of Kenya's physicality on the circuit, and they're the most physical team on the circuit. And that boiled down to strength and conditioning. Sports has changed. That's a very key part of any technical bench. Yeah. Your players perform according to how they are conditioned and how they're trained. For you to execute the plans that you have as a coach, then there's a level of fitness that your players have to attain. I was watching something just before I came. Not the same sport. I was actually just talking about Jurgen Klopp and the decision that the Liverpool owners made to hire him and all that. And one of the things that Klopp did, you notice that in England, the head coach is normally called the manager.
Yeah.
It's because you're managing a lot of departments. And one of the things that Klopp did was nutritionist and the strength and conditioning coach. Those were the two things that were very integral for Liverpool. So like, for example, in terms of diet, the three of us, we have different body components, and they would study your blood to know what is required for you to perform at an optimum level. Or that's what they do, actually, his strength and conditioning team. So then that tailors the diet that you have, you know, and all that stuff. 5, 6, 7 years later, after Klopp's hiring, we can see the results. And that's essentially now, if you've ever engaged Geoffrey Kimani, in a very small way, he knows his work.
Yeah, he understands his art.
He understands his art. And the one thing I like about him, for me at least, is that Kim just doesn't focus on rugby. Himself is a former sprinter.
Yes.
If you talk to him basketball, he understands. If you talk to him NFL, he understands. If you talk to him football, he understands. So then, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, you're able to understand, because different sports have different needs, right? So you're able to understand exactly what is required for your rugby team. So I think that was a fundamental blunder by Innocent to me when he declined Kim's services. And then the other blunder I thought was that move he pulled, that anyone over 30 cannot play for the sevens team. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
I think that one, very, very, I don't know, very tough comment to make, that you cannot do it, but you when you understand African sports, you realize that our sportsmen tend to mature as they age. Yeah, when we get to 27, 28, 30, 32, that is when now we are playing at our best level.
At optimum. And the reason is very simple. It's because from a technical standpoint, our sportsmen pick up sports very late.
Yes.
So by the time, I remember during Andrew Omonde's retirement dinner last year, Mike Friday was one of the people who commented, and he said, "It's good to see that your left pass has improved."
Yes.
Mike Friday took over the team when Andrew was what, 28, 29?
Yes.
And it's just a few years later that his pass has improved. So you're right.
Yeah.
People pick late, but it's because
also we start our basics late.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we start our basics late. So
high school.
So it was a mistake making a decision that it's high time now we're not using the services of the likes of Colin Sinjera.
Plus anyone over 30 is pretty young. I mean, William Barker is young.
William Barker, yes.
Oscar Ouma.
And you see, with the 7th circuit, with 7th circuit, which is actually more reading the game, technical part of the game, how you using your game, how you using your opponent, your body mass is key to yourself and everything, and that's strength and conditioning. At 30, you're still a good player on that pitch.
Oh, yeah. 30 is still a good player. Easily, you can give us another maybe 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
So someone can play great rugby even at 35.
Yeah, I mean, Collins is what, 35?
3, 4, 5?
No, he's about 35, 36 thereabouts. So, and he's been able to perform.
Yes.
Actually, just what normally happens, and it's in all sports. I mean, so like for example, Collins was a speedster.
Yes.
But as you grow older, then you lose the speed. But as you lose the speed, you've gained a ridiculous amount in terms of technical. And it happens in every sport. I remember Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
He was a flyer on the wing. But as he grew older, he dropped deep, he dropped central. Yeah. Because now his understanding of the game is even much better than he was when he was young. And that's what happened with Collins. He was able now to move from the wing to a sweeper position because he understood the game better than he did when he was a flyer. So
yes.
I think it was a bad move. Himself, Innocent Simiyu, played. Had it not been for the injury he attained at the 2009 Bamburi Super Series, and by then I think he was already 30, Innocent Simiyu would have played easily for another 4 or 5 years. He did come back and play by then.
He was not part of the 2016 Singapore Sevens victory?
No. He had already...
Under Benjamin Aimba, I thought?
He was already in the... Now he had gone to the 15th team. At that time he was in the 15th team. But he was still playing well into his 30s. So when you as a coach come down and say that you're not going to take 30-year-olds plus, I think that was also a mistake. So he leaves, and in comes in Damien McGrath, and then Kevin Wambua as an assistant coach. So that's the first thing that's moving right, is that he has an assistant coach
who understands the
Well,
game.
who understands,
transitioning.
helps in transitioning,
Yeah.
but also trickle down in terms of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Damien McGrath, Canada, Germany, Australia, Samoa. You can imagine the amount of material he's been exposed to. So the trickle down, I think, is going to be, if Bling is open-minded, he can take in a lot from Damien McGrath. And then, of course, Kim is back as the strength and conditioning coach. So,
and actually, he's also being used by National Olympic Committee of Kenya.
He is.
You know, Commonwealth in Tokyo Olympics last year.
That's right. He's been used by those
His
guys.
expertise is enormous. He has amassed a lot of knowledge in that area. That's why teams are going for him, and also with the National Olympic Committees in the Kenya elite camp. And I think his advice now is actually more about also bringing in other guys who can learn the trade of strength and conditioning. And now when we look at the other legs that are coming up, I think also the decision to bring in Damien was not necessarily for the series, because now the series, I think
series is done.
3 legs to go. I think it's now the World Cup, Commonwealth. How are we going to perform? The Olympics coming up.
We have
the major ones.
We have the World Cup in Cape Town in September, Commonwealth Games. So essentially, it's still short. Even Commonwealth might be a short turnaround time. I'd be looking at the World Cup. And obviously
set for France next year.
No, that is the 15th World Cup.
The 15th World Cup.
The 7th World Cup is the beginning of September in Cape Town. And
the one we qualified despite failing to defend the title.
Yes, in Uganda. I mean, resources is another thing. It's another ball game. But only wish these guys, if they were pro athletes, there's no need for going anywhere else. Your work is just to focus on. That's your craft. That's your craft. And pound for pound, I think we are equal to many of the top playing nations. The only difference is we don't have the resources. Yeah,
that's very true.
Yeah.
Because when you look at our rankings in the HSBC series, we are currently at the 10th position. A team that has now surpassed us to get into some of our positions, a team like Spain, which we have been beating for a very good time actually. Team like Canada, that is also taken
so
some
for Spain and Canada, financial muscles have played
resources and everything.
Look, at the end of the day, you will say whatever you want to say. If you don't have the money, forget about it. At the crux of sports nowadays is fans. If you look at, now, we've just talked about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp and the team. Those guys are not coming to be paid with cowrie shells. They have to be paid some money. And these guys have done, that's their field. Let me give you a story. There's a documentary on YouTube about the 2003 England Rugby World Cup team.
Martin Johnson.
The Martin Johnson led team, yes. So, Sir Clive Woodward, who was the coach of that team, he had been appointed by the RFU maybe in 96 or 97. His target was not the 99 World Cup. His target was the 2003 World Cup. About 2001, 2002, he went to the States. He went to watch an NFL game. And he saw the technical bench. Head coach, defense coach, attack coach, what coach, analytics. A team of like 20 guys, 20, 25. That's a tech bench. He came back to the RFU, he told them, if you want me to win, you have to give me budget. You have to give me budget for these guys. And the RFU, credit to them, they went and sourced for their money. This guy had an attack coach, he had a defense coach, he had a forwards coach, he had a backs coach, he had an eye coach. Eye coach, yes, just reception, like how receptive are you if you see, because and those are coordinations that people take for granted. You don't see somebody coming off the blind side for a tackle. Those are things we take for granted. Even the bigger thing for me was that one part of this technical bench was a Queen's Counsel, the equivalent of what we call senior counsel, was a QC, and he said that he was fought on that decision, but the RFU still gave him the budget to hire a QC. Now, in that World Cup, in the pool games against Uruguay, at one point they had 16 men on the team, and they were sanctioned. So the QC was able to mobilize from their camp quickly, boom, and fly to Sydney, where the trial was being held. As opposed to flying somebody from England, one, or two, getting a local.
And who does not understand
who does not understand
happening at
dynamics.
the moment.
Now, there were two options for the England team. Either they were going to be docked points, or they were going to be fined cash.
Yes.
If they were docked points, they would have ended up finishing number 2 in that group, and they would have made the All Blacks in the quarterfinals. Because in their group, it was England and South Africa who went through.
Yes.
So they would have England, and South Africa ended up losing to New Zealand. By the way.
Yes.
Anyway, this guy mobilized, he went to Sydney, he argued, and the RFU were only fined, I think, $20,000. But they kept their points and cleared their path to the final. So basically, he was talking about the technical bench, and that's where they come back. So resources is everything. Even in terms of data analytics, like you're saying, on the players, those two vests that we see these guys putting on. And I remember Mwangi Muthe talking about it on Capital FM. It was just prior to the 2012 Safari Sevens. And Mwangi Muthe was talking about the resources that are required for these players. And I remember he said, if you look at the All Black Sevens players, they have a bulge. They have a bulge here.
Yes.
It's essentially that vest that they normally put on. And it's normally it's GPS based.
Yes.
So it picks all your data, all your vitals and everything. And this data is what normally informs the coaches about this guy needs to leave, or this guy. You can find somebody who's running around the whole pitch.
Yes.
But his efficiency is at 20%. That's how the data does. If you're a busy body, you're all over the pitch.
I think I watched what was his name? This Moneyball.
Yes, Moneyball. Moneyball is a movie.
Moneyball.
Brad Pitt and
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill, yes.
Yes.
And it's about it's a baseball team. I forget which baseball team it is. But Moneyball is the genesis of what modern day analytics.
Yes.
And Jonah Hill's character was a Harvard graduate.
Yes.
Who was a Harvard statistics graduate who was able to break down data.
Yes.
And that data is what propelled that particular baseball team. I think they never won, but they got to the World Series. And I think
they got to the World Series.
Yes.
And they never won.
Yes.
But after that season had ended, the Redskins.
The Boston Red Sox.
Yes, Boston Red Sox. He called now the owner of that team and told him, "You need to come and work for me."
Yes.
This guy told him, "Why should I come and work for you? What's up?" And the guy told him, the system that you have initiated,
yes,
believe you me, every team in the world is going to put that system into work. Came to realize that sometimes it's not about talent. It's about that guy on the bench, that coach on the bench just saying, yes, that guy is 36, but he's not good at base, but he's a very good hitter. But for us, we are using him at base when we are supposed to use him as a
Let me tell you, and the funny thing about that thing is what? Okay, fine. The after effect of that movie is that this guy, the guy who invented Moneyball, they did not move to Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
But Red Sox got their own guy to do the analytics, and they won a couple of World Series after that. But big picture for me is that guy you see at the end of the meeting of the movie is John Henry, the chairman of Liverpool. Because the owners of Liverpool,
that's John Henry.
Yes, the owners of Liverpool are the same owners of Boston Red Sox. So that analytics thing, and you see, the question I always ask myself: if our guys are able to compete, Max, if our guys are able to compete without the resources, now give them those resources.
So in case that gets replicated locally, we can go places.
Max, you attended that conference that we hosted 1.5 months ago, and I remember this guy, Al Patton. Al has worked for every organization you can possibly think of.
Goodness, man is knowledgeable.
Yeah, and I remember him telling me, you guys have platinum. You're working on platinum, but you're not digging.
Yes.
You do not understand the resources that you have as Kenya from a technical, what is it called? Physical standpoint and all that. Now you're just pumping the money. It's a done deal.
You said you took them to Nyayo Kasarani. They say that RFA is the.
They say that RFA is the deal in terms of construction, because our stadiums are constructed first, and this is what I keep on telling people: stadiums, and I'm sorry to say this, are not for athletes. Stadiums are for fans.
The
Are you seeing
experience
it?
of the fans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's when stadiums were created, when you watch the Gladiator, that movement, it's for people to go and watch the athletes.
Yeah.
Yes, the grounds have to be good, but the stadiums have to be designed for the fun. Now, all the stadiums in Kenya have been designed for the athletes. There's zero fun experience.
Sportsman on the pitch.
Yes, there's zero fun engagement. There's zero fun experience. There's no corporate box. There's zero commercial value on our stadiums. And so these guys who work in all the pro arenas, they've been to all the pro arenas. They went, they saw Nyai, they saw Kasarani. They didn't talk. When we walked into RFEA, then they're like, now this one we can develop. This is what we can make world class. And because they were saying it already ties into a lot of things. There's already a main busy road, already apartment buildings, commercial buildings. You have Junction down the road. You have Prestige Plaza.
The center is the center of attraction.
So it's the center of attraction. So there's a lot of work we need to do. I mean, look at, no offense. Have you seen that Ulinzi Stadium? This one that has been constructed at the Cops. It's not, it's useless. It's crap. I mean, I must say it. It's again designed poorly. That's wasted money. I don't know if you guys have gone to poster grounds. Again, even that one is wasted
I think
money.
what also people don't realize is that you realize that some of our stadiums like Nyayo 83 was constructed, Kasarani 87, and most of these stadiums when they are being constructed is about public events, not sports events. A stadium in our country is not constructed for.
It's not constructed for sports. It's constructed events. For politics.
Yeah, it's constructed for this event is happening. There's actually major public events,
but you know,
but they need to construct them for. See a stadium when I think the PSG stadium where a fan when Neymar is coming to take a corner kick is actually experiencing the player.
But you know, Soro, I mean, Old Trafford constructed before Nyayo Stadium. Kasarani constructed before Nyayo Stadium. Sorry, Old Trafford constructed before Kasarani.
Yes.
Yet they've been able to renovate, even Anfield. They've been able to renovate as days go to suit the modern. I mean, Banabao, they've just completed the renovations.
Yes.
But whenever we do renovations, we don't really focus on fun experience. You know, actually, I came to learn, I don't know if it's true, but this is what I was told.
Yeah.
The reason why Supersport left was because of scheduling. And when they're doing the KPL. And it's because a game has been scheduled for Kasarani, for Nyayo Stadium. And then you're told there's a political rally there. So moving a satellite is not cheap.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Those scheduling costs were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, it's not making sense. It's not like it's bringing in the revenues. So anyway, so
you've been actively involved in pushing for revenue generation for our sports entities. Kenya Rugby Union, let's start with Kenya Rugby Union. What happened at Hemingway's, you know. I attended the forum, 2-hour forum, very knowledgeable. We got enriched as far as matters concerned to do with, you know, policy, sports empowerment, and bringing income for these sporting federations and clubs and even players themselves, some of whom attended.
Yes.
I don't know. How has it been like in terms of the reaction?
It's, I mean, it's still tough, Max, for... Like, and I keep on saying, for the local people, for the local high net worth individual, it's still tough to show them that this is a business. But I see, what I've seen recently is that the biggest challenge is not even really the high net worth individual.
Yes.
It's the sports administrators, the current sports administrators we have.
Rigid-minded?
Yeah, oh yeah, very rigid-minded. I'll tell you a story. I won't mention the club, but about 4 years ago, I made a presentation about privatizing one of the rugby clubs. And just getting private capital in to run the day-to-day things. And that was 4 years ago. And I've been pushing, and I'm being shot down every time. The administrators of that club are just, they're hitting me, they're putting roadblocks there. Last year, just an unofficial conversation, we were just sitting down, and I told one of the officials, if you guys don't adopt my model, you're going to be relegated very soon. I won't talk about that because then it's easy to identify which club it is. Then a meeting was had recently, and somebody had gone to visit a foreign rugby club just to see how they run.
Benchmarking.
Thank you, benchmarking. Though he had gone on his own dime.
Yes.
Max, do you know when he came back? Exactly what I told them 4 years ago.
The model you had given them.
That is what he came to tell them.
And putting up of stumbling blocks to your bid, was it deliberate strategy?
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, I think we were talking off air, I just said at the beginning of this show, people are thriving in the chaos that is the sporting industry.
They want confusion.
They want confusion. They want to benefit. I mean, it's exactly what Mwalimu was saying in the previous setting, that there are very many people who thrive in the chaos that is the sporting industry, and they put deliberate roadblocks so that they can continue having their selfish gain or their personal gain.
Yeah, because they know that when you go professional, it opens up the sports industry, and for them they might be consumed in there, or they might lose their role which they are playing at the moment, and they'll not be getting any returns into it. But at the end of the day, we'll get there.
It's business. I mean, it's and you see, every sport that has gone commercial, and I keep on telling guys, the holy grail of monetizing sports is America. Even for where the Premier League is now, they had to copy America. In fact, let me give you a story. I don't know if you, let's give the viewers a story. I know you were there. And one of the guys there was telling us the way the Premier League came to be.
Yes.
And there's a gentleman called David Dean. Not too many guys, the new football fans will not know him, but David Dean was a significant shareholder of Arsenal. He was the vice chairman of Arsenal.
Yes.
In the early 90s, he took a group of execs, football execs, and FA guys to the States. And he told them, now look at how business is being run. Look at how sports is being run as a business. And when these guys came back, they said, number one, we are banning hooliganism. That's the first thing we are doing. Number two, we are creating a Premier League. Yani, we are making hooliganism a criminal offense. Number two, we are creating a Premier League. Then, of course, bringing the thing of private ownership and all that stuff. And you see, and I hate to say this, and I know it sounds so bad, but it's the truth. You know, in-stadium experience is for the person who can afford it. Tickets are not cheap at the Emirates or Old Trafford. They go for £40. That's 4,000 bob. Na hiyo ni ticket tu ya kawaida. Kuka terrace, So in-stadium experience is for the person who has the money. That's how you generate the income. TV is now for the masses of the fans. And if you look even in England, all these places, you have all these classes of guys. You hear stories of a father who saved how much to take the son for one game in a season, you know. So
and the stadium is just next door.
Exactly, and the stadium is just next door. That's how you're able to generate revenues to play your players, to create the employment for that person.
How was your experience at Stellenbosch? You attended, right?
I went to Stellenbosch, but you know it was during COVID, so
there were no fun attendance.
But even South Africa is not really even the place. I mean, in Africa, yes, it's a place to look in from the business of sports, really, but it's not the standard bearer.
What people don't understand is the late Kenneth Matiba talked about professionalizing Kenyan football way back in the 70s. And the Premier League went professional in 92. Look at what has happened between 92 and now. And today for the Premier League. So that talk that you need to go professional need to be seriously thought out. That, hey, guys, we need to go professional to make this thing work. And then you realize many people are now looking at American sports because it has given them a model of generating money. American sports, for most of the time, has been an enclosed environment, enclosed sports. It's not open like in Europe where everybody can see what is happening. Look at NFL, I think in Canada, the United States.
They don't even have a Canadian team. It's just the States.
Look at the NBA. Usually what for them they have that people are seeing now is what you are trying to copy. Now, most of our executives here, for them, they are looking at the small picture.
Myopic.
As
far as your nose. As far as your nose.
Long term.
Look at Masengo Ujiri. When Masengo Ujiri became the head of Toronto Raptors, no one thought that he could make a team from Canada win the NBA. Everybody thought like, hey, we're taking time. But at the end of the day, Gunjiri went there, put structures in order, Toronto won the NBA.
And you know, even if you look at in terms of valuations, if you look
Yes.
at, let me give you some shocking numbers for people to understand. You've said that American sports are closed. Now, if you look at the 10 highest valued sports teams in the world,
Yes.
there are only 3 non-American teams. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich.
Yes.
They're the only, Barcelona 4, Real Madrid 5, Bayern Munich 10. All the other 7 are American franchises. NFL, NBA, baseball.
Yes.
Now, that's number 1. Number 2, this is a stat I read last week. I knew about it, but I think it just was brought into perspective.
Yes.
You know the F1 was acquired by an American company 4 years ago
Yeah,
called Liberty
yes.
Media. F1 has a fan base of 600 million, or rather at that time, at acquisition time, had a fan base of 600 million people. The NFL has a viewership of 100 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yet, the NFL is valued higher than the F1. NFL
Why
is
the
valued.
discrepancies?
And it's because of best practices. It's like I'm saying, America is the holy grail, and if we're going to mirror anything, I mean, we can go to England, yes, but England go there. England go to America.
Yes.
As we benchmark in England when
Yes.
they go to US.
So we can go there directly, and we can pick the.
Wait, let me tell you something. You remember when was it which team won the NFL?
The LA Rams. This one for Stan Kroenke.
Yes.
Stan Kroenke's team. Yes.
You saw Kroenke was the one who was given the trophy.
It's a chairman. Who's
Yeah,
always
the
given
chairman. And the people are talking about why is it that the owner, the
Yes.
chairman, is the one who is being given the trophy.
It is not the practice elsewhere.
Yes, it's not the practice. By the way, all American sports.
But that, has to be, that is supposed to be the standard practice
It is,
global.
yeah.
Because because people are saying that why is it happening like that, not understanding how much money this guy put onto the team, how much a vote as an owner he has in the table of the owners.
Yes.
How impactful is his franchise from top to
Bottom. I mean, if you look at
past getting a captain in England lifting the trophy.
I mean, I can understand where, and you see what they normally do in American sports. It's the chairman who's given, or the owner, the team owner is given the title, and then he hands it over to the coach and whoever the captains are. You don't even hear the captain thing in American sports a lot. You don't hear the captain, so it's normally the team owner who then gives it to the coach, because like you're saying, this guy has put his money on the table to underwrite almost all the costs.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Cincinnati Bengals who played against the Rams in the finals. Their payroll to ila mshahara, $194 million a year.
My goodness.
That huo ni mtu ameweka pesa yake.
Yeah.
Somebody has put his money on the table to build this franchise. I mean, that stadium where they were playing, the SoFi Stadium.
Yes.
It's Kroenke who built it, and it cost them $5 billion.
And then now you look at the fun experience that someone is not even in LA, is living in another part of the east. I don't know the eastern.
No, I think he lives in. He's a Colorado native.
No, just another fun.
Hypothetically, yes. Okay.
Different fun
Sorry,
outside there. That now for the fun experience, because he has got the money to get into the stadium hires for you a chopper from where you, let's say you live in Nakuru and the game is in Mombasa.
Yeah.
They come for you in Nakuru at your house. They bring you all the way to the airport in Nakuru, fly you to Mombasa, take you from Mombasa to your hotel, then to the stadium. Watch the game, enjoy yourself the way you want, then get back and go back.
Because you have dollars. There's a documentary currently running called a docu-series. Sorry, it's called Winning Time. It's a HBO produced docu-series, and it's about the Lakers dynasty of the 80s.
Yes.
And the father, actually, let me put it this way, the father of modern sports business, as we know, is the late Lakers owner, Dr. Jerry Buss. So it's about his story, what he saw.
Yes.
What he saw sports as entertainment, and fusing all those things to make a viable business. And I would recommend our administrators to watch. Another thing I was telling people last week, you saw the Kipkeino Classic. Heavily marketed.
Yes.
Heavily marketed event. Brilliantly run event in terms of time, kept time, what and all that stuff. Yeah, the stadium was a fifth full. And it was free.
Yes.
And what I kept on telling people, it's about the in-stadium experience. People no longer go to the stadiums to watch. umejiuliza, and this is what I keep on asking. Anytime, again, another fight I was having with this particular rugby club I was talking about.
If it was a rugby event, things would have been different.
Hell
maybe.
no. The game has changed, Max. The question I'm asking myself, I am leaving my house to pay money to go to enter, to go and watch. What else am I being given? Am I being given over and above the game?
Have you asked yourself why an NBA team like Lakers has an in-house DJ?
Yes.
Ask yourself that.
What after in-house DJ, Peke? When you are, if you look at like again, and a very good American culture of the retired Jazzies, retired members of the heroes. If you look at the Staples Center, one of the retired Jazzies is of a guy called Chuck Hahn. Chuck Hahn was their announcer.
Stadium announcer.
He's a stadium announcer.
Yeah.
Who died? I think he died of cancer, something like that.
Yeah.
That's the service he gave that club.
Yeah.
Those are the things, as in replacing. I remember when I'm telling you, hapa tuna mchezo. When when Jerry Reinsdorf, who's the owner of the Bulls, when he became the owner of the Bulls, of course a lot of things was going to be marketing, pushing. He was lucky they had just drafted Michael Jordan, so it was a shot in the arm. But he replaced a lot of things to make the stadium experience lively. Now, one of the things they did was the entrance theme song of the Bulls team. And the announcer, the guy they got to announce the starting lineup.
Yes.
And I would challenge you guys, just go and watch like Bulls intro, let's say NBA Finals 96 Bulls intro. And you see that vibe. And you know, it was, so they would announce the starting lineup of the visiting team.
Yes.
And then the lights go dark, and then you know that like a spotlight going around, and then the song starts, and then the announcer starts. And then, you know, from Arkansas, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Ron Harper, all those guys, the crowd goes nuts. By the time the game is starting, that's what you're talking about.
So it's not about the playing
surface. Look at what happened at the Super Bowl. Last time was 15 minutes.
As we wind up.
But in the 14 minutes of everybody, world over, everybody in the world, yes, the Super Bowl is happening, but hey, what is the lineup for the halftime show?
It's electric. And now I've seen even like the Premier League are doing it on Friday night games. Like boom, the lights go off. Even the Champions League, lights go off, boom. It's that thing in stadium experience. Even if I'm not going to watch the game.
Yes.
I remember, obviously the Jordan days I was a kid and it didn't register. But later on when I remember watching that intro and I was like, the hell? I would have just loved to be in the stadium just for that.
Yeah.
You get your energy up. So that's a problem with our administrators. You think
is there a possibility of witnessing that, watching it locally happening? Gongro Derby, Queens,
it can happen, but like I'm saying,
how long is it taking though?
Our sports, what I know is that Kenya is a copycat economy. One thing is going to happen and everyone is going to start playing catch up because it has to, in stadium experience, it can no longer be that, and by the way, these club officials are brave. No, they will come watch the game. Hell no. You're competing with very many other things. And like I'm saying, unatoa pesa yako kwa mfuko.
Value for your money.
Value for your money to come watch a game. I'm not just coming to watch the game. What are the experiences am I being given?
Interesting conversation indeed this particular afternoon with this big man, super consultant of sports, and this particular afternoon we're talking matters rugby and the state of the game in the country amid, you know, KRU and Innocent Simiyu, former national team coach of Shujaa, parting ways, and now the new man at the helm, 64-year-old from Britain. You got confidence in him, he'll deliver?
It's not even him per se, it's a supporting cast.
You said now Kimani is also backing him alongside Kevin Wambua.
Yeah, and then he brings his expertise. So, yeah, I do think that we are in for a good time for the Kenya Sevens team.
Looking forward to the qualification for World Cup set for South Africa, then 15th in France next year.
Yeah, so the qualifiers are in France, actually.
Why are the qualifiers in France?
It's a bad move. Let me give, as we wind up quickly, I'll run up the story. So, 2018, remember when the Rugby Africa Gold Cup was here? I was talking to one of the sponsors of Rugby Africa. And that is the year where there's normally the executive council and the board. The board of World Rugby recommended that South Africa be the host for the 2023 World Cup. The executive council turned that decision and said France to be the host. What I came to learn is that Rugby Africa actually are the ones who sold the vote for France in exchange of some of these things. And I guess this is one of the things that we're seeing now.
Those exclusive insights getting found on this particular show. Every Saturday, Touchline on Y25. Maxwell Owasike is my name, alongside Rebel co-host Robert Osoro. Then Ngaro Kamuya was joining us this particular afternoon as well to share his insights on the state of the game locally and going forward, what we should do, to emulate what overseas world is doing to replicate the glittering show. And of course, looking forward to that conversation. Let's continue with, the talk on social media platforms at Wasike Maxwell, at Ngaro Kamuya, at Osoro Robert, hashtag Touchline Y25. It's been a pleasure doing this particular afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. God bless and have a fantastic weekend.